Welcome to Mr. Bear Recaps. Today, I am going to talk about a special action movie in 2022 about a special forces soldier using an ambulance to rob a bank. The movie is called Ambulance. The movie starts with Will, who is a retired veteran who becomes unemployed after retiring. At this time, his wife was seriously ill and needed urgent surgery. But being dirt poor, Will is too stuck and had to call the hospital to support the fee. The hospital heard that he has no money, so they immediately turned off the phone. What a bunch of ungrateful capitalist bastards. Is this how they treat their veteran? Will has no choice but to ask for help from his best friend, Danny, who is working as a personal bodyguard for a wealthy lawyer. Danny's day job is to mainly look after the luxury cars for his lawyers. Poor Willie, seeing a house full of luxury cars, feels extremely admired. Danny said that they lived and died for their country, but felt mistreated by the system. Then, when Danny's teammates arrived, they all prepared their weapons. It turned out that these people were plotting to rob a bank. Danny convinces Will to join their gang, but Will hesitated. Danny said that he only needs to drive while the gang takes care of the rest. Will had no choice but to accept, so they set off on their mission. First, they drove and stopped by a parking lot. Danny and his accomplices pretended to be employees, infiltrating the bank. Unfortunately, two policemen stopped by the bank. One of the cops decided to wait outside because he didn't feel well. The other come in and asked why the bank wasn't open today. Now Danny's accomplices are hiding from inside the building. There are also a few assassins under the desk, threatening to shoot if they don't shut up. Captain Monroe didn't know about it and started flirting with the bank employee. He took the initiative to start a conversation, saying, "I want to invite you to dinner," but the girl said that it is not convenient at the moment. Monroe saw the staff nameplate on the counter and imminently felt something wrong. Danny then immediately pulled out a pistol to threaten Monroe. "We have 2 automatic machine guns aimed at you, so don't try anything funny." The bank has a total of $32 million. Danny's accomplices ran into the vault and pocketed all the diamonds, gold, and silver. Danny's teammate received the signal to pick them up, but unfortunately, the car broke down in the middle of the road. Monroe's partner saw this and offered to help repair the car, but then he saw Danny shouting as his teammates retreated. Monroe's partner wanted to open fire, but the driver stopped him by hitting the police car. The driver continued to shoot at the benefactor who helped him. After that, a gun battle between the two sides broke out. The police patrolling the area heard the gunfire and rushed over to the scene. Unable to go through the front gate, Danny returns inside the bank and escapes through the elevator. The scene outside was extremely chaotic. At this time, the female lifeguard and her colleague also received an order to go to the bank to save people. Several dozen police cars and special forces rushed to the scene. Danny took policeman Monroe hostage, running down the parking lot together. Special forces soldiers simultaneously attacked, blocking the entrance. The driver of the gang immediately got shot in the head. Suddenly, Monroe wanted to be a hero, attacking Danny. Danny almost got his ass whooped. Fortunately, Will promptly opened fire and shot Monroe, rescuing Danny. Will feels very guilty, but Danny advises him to get in the car quickly. Otherwise, everyone will die. The two had to leave. The gang suffered countless casualties, and almost got completely whipped out. News of the bank being robbed spread everywhere. Police, special forces and detectives quickly blocked all roads. Danny take a peek and then immediately went inside. They are surrounded. Danny is preparing himself for the escape. Meanwhile, Will was curious as to whether there was a gunfight outside. On the rooftop, there are 7 SWAT soldiers already in the position to strike. There are also helicopters patrolling the sky. The SWAT team also started breaking down the door. Then Officer Mark quickly discovered Monroe, who is lying on the ground. At this point, Monroe fell into a coma. Many officers took turns rushing into the building. The investigators also tracked down Danny's whereabouts, preparing to attack. At this point, Danny and Will are forced to run back to the parking lot. Then, a sexy medical staff named Cam arrived to save police officer Monroe. But when they were about to drive the ambulance to leave, Danny opened fire to block the road, at which point the special forces chased the place. Danny tries to escape through the parking lot but got stopped by the police. Danny and Will are preparing to die. But when the investigation officer opened the car door, he saw Cam shouting loudly saying that the patient is in critical condition, so get lost. Cam just saves the robber their life. Felling relives. Danny apologized to Cam and then smiled saying that he didn't mean to point the gun at her. "I've been gentle ever since. I'm not bad, I'm good to everyone." The ambulance did not dare to go on the highway, only running down the alley to avoid the patrol of the helicopter. Cam took the opportunity to spray the fire extinguisher at Will to run away. Then, Danny quickly pointed a gun at her, threatening her. But then, Monroe had a heart attack, so Cam has to come back to save him. 4 people set off again. While talking to the police, the investigation officer learned that the ambulance had been robbed. The helicopter uses a thermometer to monitor the ambulance throughout the journey. Then, the technician told the police that this ambulance uses a V8 engine, so it can drive very fast. The cops were forced to send more helicopters to coordinate with other police patrols. At the same time, another cop eavesdropped on the conversation inside the car. The ambulance had just reached the main road when it was blockaded by a chain of police cars. With no other choice, they were forced to turn back and confront the cops head-on. When the police saw that, they did not dare to confront the ambulance and had to avoid it. As a result, a series of police cars flipped over, causing countless damages. At this time, Cam tried CPR for Monroe but to no avail. Danny had to run to the back to help. Two people coordinated to perform CPR for the policeman right on the ambulance running at high speed. After finishing CPR, Danny returned to the driver's cab. Then the car ran to a dead end, but Will had time to brake, allowing the ambulance to stop right in front of the cliff. The police car that chased them didn't brake in time, so they all fall down the cliff. They took the opportunity to immediately reverse the car and run away. Danny has no way to hide, so he contacted the gang boss, William. Right now Danny has $16 million, hoping that William can help them, and promised to split the money. William asked Danny how he could help. Danny told William to send the boys over to help him distract the cop. The boss, after hearing that he could earn that easy and sweet money, immediately ordered the boys to start gearing up. Danny called his friend who worked in the garage again and asked him to drive the fastest car to save him. At this point, the helicopter was close on his ass. The police chief closely followed the ambulance. Will has no way to escape the enemy's encirclement. Danny wanted to shoot the cop but was stopped by Cam. He got mad and threatened Cam on the floor of the car and yelled, "Do you want to die?" The ambulance drove around the center of the intersection, frantically calling with the surrounding traffic, destroying countless police cars. Danny went crazy, opened the car door, and used Cam as a hostage to threaten the sheriff chasing him. "If you dare shoot me, I will blow the chick's head off." The sheriff is forced to make a temporary compromise, so he backs down. Danny then rushed back to the driver's cab. At this time, the cop ordered to block the highway. The two state police departments had to work together. People at the investigation department discovered that Danny had been involved in a bank robbery since he was 17 years old. Damn, this guy is already playing real-life GTA at the age of 17 while I am sitting here making dump recap. As it turns out, his father was a sniper who killed 6 bankers and 3 cashiers. The FBI agent is Danny's classmate, so he understands why Danny is so restrained. Danny just wants a simple life and doesn't want to harm anyone. But the guy still decided to go stealing. In the past 10 years, he has robbed 37 banks, now it is the 38th bank. At this time, Monroe fell into a critical situation, the whole car floor is soaked with blood. Cam then phones her senior doctor, who is on holiday, asking how to treat the wound. In case she is up to something no good, Danny is forced to point a gun at her head the whole process. The doctor then makes a video call to instruct Cam on how to perform the surgery while on an ambulance that is traveling at the speed of death. The investigation officer also overheard the conversation. Because Will was a war veteran, he decided to use his skills to help Cam while Danny was in charge of driving. Cam proceeded with the surgery slowly to avoid any incidents. Then she started looking for the bullet. If the whole process accidentally ruptures the spleen, Monroe can die within 60 seconds. Cam shouted loudly saying, "I can do it." Right after that, the spleen burst, and at this time, the computer also ran out of battery. Amazing timing on that one. Everyone thought Monroe was dead. The investigative department staff then heard that, being extremely pissed, decided to kill Danny and Will. The police called Cam asking her to quickly hide under the stretcher, but she said she had saved Monroe's life. The investigation department staff did not care and decided to shoot anyway. Then, the police ordered their comrades in combat to temporarily retreat, leaving only 2 vehicles posing as civilians close to the ambulance. Danny then scolds at the cop. "Monroe is almost dead, but Cam saved his ass and you still want to shoot us." The police then apologize. "We really didn't know you guys saved his life." Danny then gradually starts losing his mind. Cam starts being sarcastic at Danny, which triggers Danny to open fire on her. Will then slam the brakes, causing Danny to miss his shot. The 2 guys who was once best bro is now fighting fiercely in the car. While the 2 were fighting, Cam quickly contacted the police. At this time, the cop is manipulating Will into surrendering by telling him that he is a war veteran, and if he does not comply, he can face up to 30 years of jail time. The cop advised Will to think about his wife. Then, the investigator rushes to call Cam, revealing that Will is the weak point, so Cam must find an opportunity to influence him. Will hastily called his wife to lie that he is looking for a job. His wife said that the bank in the area had a robbery today, so be careful. Will looked at his son on the phone screen and then his heart softened. Cam saw this and asked about his wife's situation. Will says the surgery is expensive, not to mention the additional medical insurance and post-treatment costs. At this time, William's gang was waiting under the bridge for Danny. Police discovered that Will suddenly changed direction, guessing that the opponent was trying to distract him. Danny got off the car to attract the helicopter. After the plane was about to land, Danny immediately opened fire, then climbed back into the car. The plane lowered, but the ambulance swerved and swayed. Again, they chased each other on the highway. Finally, they were able to cut off the cop's tail and reach the location that William had previously set up. Here, they have prepared other identical ambulances. Then, William's men drove 3 identical ambulances out into the street to distract. One guy runs east, while another runs west. Now that is deception. The 3 ambulances' driver are well trained. The whole process made the police panic. Suddenly, William's son jumped out of the car. The ambulance raced straight ahead. Police discovered the driver was running away, but an armored car is rushing towards them. The sheriff ordered everyone to hide, but it was too late. The automatic Gatling gun mounted on the car then starts firing at the cop with a volume of 6,000 shots per minute. The captain of the team got gunned down brutally. The scene was extremely chaotic. William observed the massacre and then felt very satisfied. Officer Mark is chasing after William's son, but then they tackle and William's son is accidentally killed. The clue is lost, and this driver is William's son. After that, Danny's ambulance drives into William's secret hideout. William is grieving over his one death, while Danny is overjoyed, thinking that it is all over. Danny saw William so heartbroken and say that it is not just his son that died. I gave him the money and it was over. Danny then gives William $8 million. At this time, William heard the recorded conversation and heard his subordinates say that inside the ambulance there are cops. He started questioning Danny. You brought a nurse and a cop? Now that they saw too much, Will insisted on taking the nurse and the policeman away. But Danny refuses. Hearing this, William and his gang go full monkey mode. William is forcing Danny to shoot and kill Will, but he instead went full gun blazing, killing all of William's gang. Will is my good brother, who dares to touch him? Danny then finished off William by shooting him in the face. Danny and Will ran downstairs with guns, fighting a battle to the death with the rest of William's gang. The moment Will had just stepped into the car, he was unfortunately shot by a Cam. Only then did Cam realize she had shot the wrong person. Danny rushed toward them, attacking and retreating constantly. The ambulance once is on the run. The driver's cab now looks like it's possessed by a demon. The task force and the helicopter again chased. This time, no one was willing to give up. On one side there are outlaws, on the other is a special team that wants to avenge their fallen comrades. Meanwhile, Will was seriously injured, his heart is beating wildly. Cam once again had to perform first aid for him. The ambulance once again sped away, but this time they didn't want to escape, but to the hospital. As it turns out, Danny couldn't let his bro bleed to death, so he stopped the car right in front of the hospital gate. Several dozen policemen were right behind, and the task force also quickly chased. Dozens of SWAT soldiers were aiming at the ambulance and could open fire at any moment. Danny sees a handgun in the car, but it is a police gun. So Danny assumes Monroe shot Will. Danny repeatedly pointed the gun at the policeman's head. Cam admitted that she was the one that shoot Will. Danny is furious and says that he turned against William for her sake. I guess that's what happens when you are simping. Finally, he vowed to kill Cam in front of the police. Danny just opened the car door. The snipers are focusing on Danny. He jumped out of the ambulance screaming, but was hit in the chest by a gunshot. The one who dropped Danny was not the sniper but actually Will himself. So much for being a best bro. As it turned out, Will had given Cam the money they stole before, saying that he wanted to give the money to his wife. Will chooses to sell out his best friend, lure him into a trap. After this, Will was taken to the hospital and out of danger. Although potentially facing a 30-year prison sentence, but because Will has contributed in helping the police to eliminate the bad guys, his sentence may be reduced, maybe a few years tops. But I can't help to feel sorry for Danny, even though the guy tries to rob bank. That's for today's movie. Thank you for watching. If you find it interesting, remember to press like and subscribe to the channel to support us. See you in the next movies.